Hello everyone, welcome to one short part quick play of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I guess technically welcome to Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I'm pretty sure the welcome to part is not actually part of the title, but you can see it right there. Anyways, little side tangent. This game I think is pretty well known. It's not liked that much. It's probably going to be one of the only Wii U games that doesn't get ported to anything else. Probably for good reason, but I thought I'd give it a try. So one thing you'll notice immediately, and I guess it's a little heads up, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is kind of like a Mario Party board game kind of thing. So you basically go around a board and do stuff, which you'll see here in a little bit. But the big thing, as you probably can guess by the title and the fact that Amiibo Festival is bigger than even the Animal Crossing name on this, is that you need to use an Animal Crossing Amiibo to play this game. It is, as you can see on screen here, I'm gonna press a bunch of buttons, start, whatever, none of that. You have to touch an Amiibo to the NFC touch point to play. So we're gonna play as Isabelle here, so pop her in, and we got our little Isabelle in, so if you don't know, on the Wii U gamepad, there's a little, like, there we go. A little pad right here. I almost flipped you off. And you just basically put your little Amiibo there to do stuff like have Isabelle wave at you. It's a good time. So this is like kind of the plaza here, and basically any Amiibo that you have appears on this little screen here. So, you know, I also have Digby, I think his name is. So if I tap him, he's gonna wave to me. So I assume as you collect Animal Crossing Amiibos and Animal Crossing Amiibo cards in this case, so if I tap this one, there's that boy, you'll fill up this plaza. So there's a handful of options on the screen, but we're just gonna go for now focus on the main game itself. So this is the board game part of the game. Despite this weird like menu looking thing that we're at right now, excuse me, this is the only option you can select. So we're gonna go ahead and start playing this. And so the first time you boot this game up, it will basically require you to play like an Animal Crossing. You know, like Animal Crossing basically is a game that keeps track of time, and so you play in the month that you're playing, the day, time of day, and everything. When you first start this game, it'll basically plop you in the month that you're in. So when I first started in October, it basically automatically selects that you play in the October time frame. But once you play your first game, you can select any month freely. Unlike other Animal Crossing games where everything is 100% like in sync down to the time, this game is basically just you play through an entire month in one sitting. So, which unfortunately we're not going to be able to do a full month in one sitting, but we're going to go ahead and try March just because there's a couple events on the first half of this month that we'll be able to go to. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. Oh, yep. So I'm basically selecting one player, up to 4 players. Each character, you can play 4 players with only one Amiibo, but the players that don't have Amiibos, as far as I understand, are at a disadvantage. So as you can see, any person that does not have an Amiibo is just a Animal Crossing villager. Otherwise, you will always be one of these people. At least player 1 will always be an Amiibo. Let's go ahead and select start on this. It's going to determine the turn order. I usually for quick plays I don't have me down here and like the stream set up, and so I just kind of covered the chat with my logo up there. But there's a little bit of some physical stuff happening on the gamepad that I want to be able to show you guys, so I went ahead and turned it on as something to do. So a game of the Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival typically takes an hour and 15 minutes. We are not going to be playing a game for an hour and 15 minutes. One nice thing, I don't know if it's really nice, but one thing they do let you do, I guess I should say, is it will let you limit the game to a certain amount of time. And it's not really like, it doesn't really like refit the game to fit within a certain time frame. It just basically is literally a timer where you can say, okay, we're done playing, and then go straight to the results screen. As far as I understand, this is actually gonna be the first time I actually use it. So I did turn it on before, but you can, if you want to keep playing after the timer runs out, you can extend it, and I've always extended it always to the end of the game. So I'm not going to go through the tutorial, as I'm going to tell you myself how to play. because I'm the best tutorial person. All right. So, yeah. So for 4 people, it's an hour and 15 minutes. If you play with less people, it's it's shorter. So I think for 3 players, it's like an hour. So we can get about 45 minutes for 2 players. So that would be my expectations. I do find, though, at least, you know, I'll get into it a bit later, but I think, you know, the time it takes for players to make their moves and stuff can sometimes extend that time, because it's just an estimate. So we're going to turn on a time limit. I'm going to do 30 minutes. Half points. And we start on the 1st of the month. So at first, this is pretty much going to just look like Mario Party. So each character basically gets a dice roll, and they come out on this field, and they can choose different directions to go. Very similar to Mario Party, you have different spaces that give you different results. So in this case, the blue spaces are bad spaces, and the pink spaces are good spaces. So if you try to just, and this is kind of, it's not a bad thing per se, but it's just kind of weird. Like, to roll this dice, if you try to press the A button, Isabella shakes her head at you. She's like, I don't want anything to do with that. Nope. So you literally have to take the amiibo and place it on here to roll the dice. So as long as she's there, the dice will keep on spinning. Grab her by her weird ball head thing. Congratulations. And so yeah, so we have not only the pink spaces, but on the blue spaces, there's different icons. So in the case of the bell icons, or like the little money bag icon, I don't know, I'd be very strange if you didn't play Animal Crossing there and we're looking to play Amiibo Festival. But it's essentially a money icon. If you look at the bag of money icon, geez, if I could talk, that will give you more money. And then if you have the little like happy face icon, that will give you more happy points. Ultimately, the goal in the game is to get the most happy points as possible, so you're the happiest person on this game board. And then so the sad faces obviously reduces your happy points, and then you also have spaces like this one, which has both happy points and money. I don't really see like when you land on the ones that have both happy points and money, I don't really see a big difference in terms of like if you get like half the amount of happy points a normal happy point square would give you, or half the amount of bells a normal bell square would give you. So I feel like getting the ones that have the double happy points and bells is almost always best. Kind of the exception in this case would be I rolled the same roll as the other character for the last turn. So if I land on him, instead we get a little special interaction here. This can be good or bad. So in this case, both of us just get 3 happy points. So he basically got a free bonus off of me landing there. I actually don't get the effect of that square, which also had bells. This can also be problematic later, though, because you can land on somebody as a square and then end up in a situation where you guys like accidentally switch money with each other. And that's kind of the backbone of this game. You basically land on these points, a little event happens, and then that's kind of the end of your turn. So you get money, get happiness, lose happiness. And there's no mini games in between the turns or anything like that. So it's entirely on this game board. And, you know, these little interactions and stuff they're very charming early on. I will say after the 3rd month or so, I kind of lost interest in what was happening on screen. This game is very, it's very simple, and these interactions repeat often. So at some point, I find myself just kind of mashing through the events and not really kind of appreciating what they are, even when I get new events. Because I'll show you later, but there's basically a way to, you can see like I have like a picnic table up here, and like, let me see what else is here. I have like a rock garden. Those are parts of the map I've built, and so as you add these different parts, you get different events that can happen. So and kind of the other it's not really a goal of this game. At the end of the day, getting the most amount of happy points is the real goal of this game, but kind of the soft goal of each map is on the 4 corners of each of these maps, you have these little gyroids here that will stamp. And so the ultimate goal, kind of, is to get all 4 stamps. I have found as I've gone on, those stamps are less and less important because of something we'll see on the next day. So I'm just going to go ahead and start heading towards that first stamp. We may or may not get it depending on how things go. The first turn is always just kind of, you know, in my opinion, it's best to, on the first turn, just kind of focus on making sure you're getting positive amount of points, because if you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of happiness, so if you hit a lot of bad spaces in a row, you'll end up in a depressive state, which at least in terms of if you have a debt, like a monetary debt, that will reduce your happiness level. I don't know what happens when you're in negative happiness, actually, because I've never had it happen. But there's a card to negate the effects of being in negative happiness, though. So yeah. All right. So this is kind of in my opinion, the core part of this game. If you're playing this game and looking for some sort of challenge, it really comes down to this part where basically Joan, I guess I don't know how you pronounce that. There's some, let's not go into me and Mike and names. I'm terrible with names, even if it's like a super standard name. Anyways, so she shows up, and this is pretty typical to Animal Crossing universe. She's gonna sell you turnips. First turn you get free 10 turnips, and so she's gonna sell us turnips this turn at 84 bells each, and kind of and this is true for the main Animal Crossing game as well. The point is to try to resell these turnips before the week is over. You want to sell them at a higher price, and then obviously, you know, you kind of take some risks and stuff like that. You know, you'll land on a space that maybe each turnip will sell for 120, but there's like, you know, 5 spaces ahead of you. There's a chance that it'll sell for like 220. So you're like, oh, I want to land on that, but then you have to like roll the dice and try to land on it, kind of thing. So on the first day of turnips, you can't sell them. So it's just a normal turn for the most part. We got a 1. What kind of space is this ahead of us? Okay, money and happiness. In my opinion, and we didn't do it this time because it's just kind of how the spaces work out. I almost always focus on money early on because the happiness points are important. Basically, the equivalent of 1,000 bells equal 1 happiness point. But the bells can be invested in turnips and then resold to increase the amount. And so, in my opinion, getting as much money as possible early on is important, so you can start the whole process of converting turnips up to bells, you know, and significantly magnifying your resources. The issue with bells is that they can be, like I said earlier, where you can like accidentally switch wallets or people, or you can lose them due to certain, you know, events of the game. Where happy points are pretty locked in. Like, you do lose happy points, but you don't lose like all your happy points. Where bells, you can have some pretty significant losses. Well, let's talk about this first. So, like with Animal Crossing, there is special events that happen on the map. So these events are based off the month. So since we're in March, I think this is technically Easter, is what this is. Oh no, Easter's in April. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Some event, but it's an early event in the game. And so on this day we have a special thing happening. So in this case, all the places have been replaced with these colored feathers, and each feather will give you a different type of reward. So I think in the case of the green feather that he just got, it's going to be turnips. Yellow, I think, is money. And then I think red is happy points. And then the rainbow one gives you a little bit of each. So, yeah, turnips. So the green ones, in my opinion, are the most desirable, honestly. But I think the rainbow ones probably work out with they're better. So yeah, like Animal Crossing, each month has its own event. And, you know, sometimes the events matter. Like I think Halloween is one of the most involved. It requires you to spend the entire month working towards a goal. But a lot of these other ones, we're gonna get the rainbow one. Also, that's a really good turnip space. So let me kind of go back to this. Earlier you saw it said turnip prices are steady. So there's a current state of the turnip market every week, and it can vary. So sometimes the turnip market's crashing, sometimes it's fluctuating. Fluctuating is definitely the most desirable time to sell because there's high selling spaces as well as like very low selling spaces. So you want to try to land on the high selling spaces. But at least at this point in the game, you know, I don't want to risk. I don't know if there's going to be a fluctuating turnip market, and I can't manipulate it with any of the items I have right now, which I have no items actually. So I'm just going to go ahead, and this is a pretty good space for selling. So I'm actually going to cash out, even though it's very early in the week. But I don't have a lot of control over the map right now, so I don't want to risk too much. So yeah, but kind of going back to the events that are going on. So there's always like kind of one major event, and there's like a handful of smaller events like fishing tournaments, bass fishing, things like that. You know, it's a lot of events in the main game, and it pretty much it's what each of those events basically boil down to. Most of them are the spaces on the map change. What color space you land on varies, like how you perform in like the fishing tournament, things like that. But it's all, for the most part, kind of random, especially early on. The reason why I say early on is because this map is actually very simple early on. It's basically a loop around the entire map, and then there's one path that basically connects the loop in the center. But as you build things in this map, the map gets more and more complicated. So I would encourage you, because I did not know this early on, and I'll show you the part later, to build your town up, because I think the game gets a lot more interesting once you've complicated your field a bit more, your playing field a bit more. And it gives you a lot more opportunities to have successful weeks in terms of like turnip selling and things like that. All right. So you also have these other random events. Like sometimes you have fortune tellers that will basically read your fortune. And so they have like events where it's like, oh, if you roll a 2 this week, you get like a bonus to your happy points. Or if you get bad luck, rolling a 2 would give you like negative to your happy points. In this case, Red is probably one of the most valuable in my opinion, because he essentially holds a card shop, and when you get these cards, they give you certain abilities, such as, or not really abilities, but like they let you like choose certain dice rolls. So some dice will be like, hey, you can choose either a 1 through 6 movement, or you can get a card that lets you move only 4 spaces, or cards that let you manipulate the turnip market, things like that. So I always think it's very important to try to get a red space, but because we're on this little path on the left side of the screen here, we don't have a lot of choice on where we're going to go, so we're going to end up just landing on this guy here. So we're going to miss Red. He's only here for a day. He might come back later, but it's fine. I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about at this point. The turnip market is really, in my opinion, the core of this game. It really kind of, it's a high risk game, but you get a lot of reward for it, and as you get those cards that let you move a certain number of spaces, it makes it easier for you to make decisions on what you're gonna, or like how you're gonna move around the map to build your, you know, like not really build, but like for example, you can see kind of on the little mini map there, there's the center of the map that has a lot of like choices on paths you can go on. So that's kind of why the stamps are less relevant, because you kind of want to, during turnip, like high price turnip season, you want to be in the center of the map here. So in this case, the stock market is closed. This is not something that's like an event that's actually on the calendar. It just happens to happen sometimes, and sometimes it can screw you over. Like on the final day, if you have like a ton of turnips, like I had one time where I had like 3,000 turnips in my inventory, so I had no money other than just straight turnips, and the stock market closed on the last day, so I lost all my assets because all my turnips rotted. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of small random events like that. So it's very similar to Mario Party, where a lot of this stuff isn't really in your control. But kind of as I was saying earlier, is like when you get into the center map here, where there's like a lot of paths, you can choose where to go. You can kind of force yourself like into locations like right here, where if you have a ton of turnips, you kind of want to try to end up in this area for a while, So you can make a lot of decisions, because at each of these intersections here, I'm pointing at the screen when you guys can't see it, but like at each of these intersections here, you can kind of choose which direction you can go. So it gives you a lot of options, versus if you're like on the outside here, it's really just whatever you're going to roll on your dice is what you got to live with. And especially when you have a ton of turnips, that becomes incredibly scary, because there's a chance that you'll land on a square that's like if it's a Saturday, it automatically sells all your turnips, because Sunday those turnips will rot. So if you land on a square that has like 45 bells for each turnip, and you paid like 120 bells for your turnips, it's painful. So I will say, playing this single player is not a involving experience. I'm basically just watching the screen right now, and then on my turn, I'm touching the amiibo to my gamepad to do that. Turn the value up. Okay. And you just kind of sit here and you just kind of watch it. You just kind of watch everything happen. It's not super fun. So what I found, and I have 3 Animal Crossing amiibos in this case. I played 3-player by myself, and I found that more interesting for a handful of reasons. One, happy points, as you'll see at the end of this map, is like experience points for your amiibo. So Isabelle here, you can see that on Isabelle, let me see if I can get her to face the screen. Like, I have like her with glasses and that little pink shirt on, but her amiibo looks like this. So basically, I have unlocked more outfits through giving her happy points and things like that. So that's kind of the main purpose of the game. So if you have a lot of amiibos, you can level them all at once by playing the multiplayer, because then they all, get happiness points, where these villagers, they're getting happiness points, but they're just going to be lost into the void because there's no leveling system for them or anything. I will say one thing that's kind of disappointing, and I get, Isabelle, Tom Nook, and all that stuff. They're iconic Animal Crossing characters and stuff. But when you play Animal Crossing, you play as the villagers, like it's on the screen right now. And a lot of Animal Crossing is about customization and building, creating your own town, which they do have kind of the create your own town aspect of this game, because you can, like I showed you earlier, like that fire pit on the left I put there. There's only specific places you can put those things, but you can choose where our certain items go and what items appear on your map. But with the villagers, if you're playing by yourself, you can't play a villager unless you just select playing multiple people and then have somebody not have an amiibo. And they don't have any kind of stat progression or anything like that. And I think it would have been fun if they allowed you to have your villager and let you customize your villager and level it up, earn new clothes. I think that would be a lot more interesting than just having one amiibo with like 6 outfits or whatever it is. And because like I played this game, admittedly I played this game probably like 15-20 hours, and I capped out Tom Nook in that time. So the amiibos take a long time to unlock that stuff, but there's not a lot to unlock in this game, or at least nothing of significant value to unlock in this game. Like I did unlock those other areas, like I did build those locations on my map, which does cost happy points, but other than the few places that add paths depending on where you build, it's not super significant to the game. Like, nothing you buy is super significant to the game. There are some mini games. We'll look at those, but I haven't spent a ton of time with the mini games, but I don't find them super interesting. We'll look at a few of them at least the ones I think are the most interesting. Also, quick note, like, I love this theme that's playing right now. It's kind of the main theme of this game, and it plays on most days. If you heard earlier, on certain event days, it doesn't play. This theme plays 90% of the time, it feels like. And, after playing this game for like 15-20 hours, I have to actually look at the hour count, but, an hour and 15 per map, and I've played some of the months multiple times at this point. I've at least played, 12 hours of this game. I'm going to guess closer to 20, though. And again, I really like this song, but it just, not this song, but the main theme. And it alters depending on the weather and stuff like that. So now it's rainy, so it's got like a more simplified tune. It's a great song, but it's just like the only song you hear most of the time. And I wish they did more variety, like have each month have its own theme or something like that. Like, Animal Crossing is a series that has a lot of great music. And honestly, there is a lot of good music in this game. It just doesn't play very often. And you just hear this theme over and over and over again. And it just seems a little short-sighted, maybe, is maybe the best way to put it. I don't know. There's a lot of the things in this game that I think feel short-sighted. Like, I can see where they're coming from on when they're building it this way, but I don't know if I would say a lot of these things are great choices. I think the turnip market is definitely probably the most interesting thing. It's like a very, like, if you've ever played Fortune Street, or I think it's called Itadaki Street in Japan, it's like a very, very basic version of that in some ways. And that's cool. I like that part of this game. And, you know, that's something that at least, you know, there's so many Mario parties and so many, you know, different maps in Mario parties. I don't know if that's the case, but I don't really feel like this kind of mechanic is a core mechanic in Mario Party, at least. There might be some weird casino map somewhere I haven't seen before, and it has some kind of star gambling thing. But I think it adds a unique feeling to this game to some extent, and like aesthetically, this game's, you know, nice, and it's very charming in the same way Animal Crossing is very charming, as you probably expect. But there's just not a lot here, and honestly, I didn't find out about building things in the village until way later, because maybe I just missed the tutorial screen, but it was not super obvious to me that you could do that. So it took me a while to actually build out my village, which made it kind of boring because the map was very straightforward. I'll show you where to do that in this game because I think it's very important to making the turnip side of this game work. One thing I may not have mentioned at the beginning is that you literally cannot play this game without an amiibo. You need at least one amiibo. And if you buy the game new, which I did for $2, it comes with Isabelle and Digsby. And then I personally bought a Tom Nook amiibo at some point because it was like $1. And thankfully, nice thing about the Animal Crossing amiibos is that they're fairly cheap. I think, as far as I can tell, the Animal Crossing amiibo stuff bombed pretty hard. I could be wrong about that, but it doesn't seem like these have a lot of value to them. The card packs are still like $5 still, so they're not, you know, inexpensive. I only have the cards that came with the game, so it came with 3 cards. It doesn't come with enough cards to play all the minigames in the game, so that's one thing that's kind of a little bothersome. I've considered buying a card pack. I have one in my Amazon cart right now, but I'm kind of, you know, time to buy more turnips again, so I'm gonna buy 140 because turnips are very important. But yeah, it's just kind of, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things you can buy for this game, and you know, I don't remember how much this game costs at launch, but you know, I'm gonna guess it was anywhere between 40 and 60, and it came with these 2 amiibos. So I guess you could look at it in the same way you look at something like We Play, where you know, We Play is not a $50 game, but it came with the Wii Remote. So is it a $10 game? Sure, at the time at least, it was, you know, when you didn't have a lot of $10 digital download games that were like fully featured games, having a $10 disc-based game seemed, you know, pretty solid. And so I guess you could look at this game that way. I also had the Rowan, who is a guest on the Gun Gauge podcast and the Lost Games 2 podcast, mentioned that, you know, that if you could kind of look at it in the same way, you could look at some other board games that are, you know, meant for very young children, where it's kind of like the act of just rolling the dice is kind of like, maybe not just the act of rolling the dice, but like where simple actions like have a lot of entertainment value to them for someone who's very young. I didn't look around a ton, but I didn't get the impression that this game was being sold as like a, you know, game for super young kids. But you know, I definitely can see that argument. Like, whether or not it's sold that way, I can definitely see the value of that. Like, if you want to play a video game with the kid that, you know, maybe can't play most video games at this point because it's not super complicated. You know, it's very easy to do. Just tell him, hey, put the amiibo right there and take him off. And, you know, that action alone might get them excited about playing this game and getting happy points. I would obviously not really expect them to interact with the turnip part of the game very much, but, you know, there's not a lot, like most of this game is very positive. You know, it's very much that Nintendo thing of just like, nobody loses, everybody just wins kind of thing. And, you know, it's in the case of where I'm playing with all 3 characters by myself, it actually is very much that case. I think that, honestly, I think that part, like, and unfortunately I haven't really had any cards to show you at this point, but I think that's some of the more interesting stuff in the game is when you are one player playing multiple characters, and maybe if you played with other people who were like wanted to play in a cooperative way, because you could kind of like strategize. Let me see, where am I going to go this way? I do have 140 turnips, but the turnip market's not great this week. So I'm just going to go ahead and focus on going around. I'm going to wait and see if I can get a fluctuating turnip market. Unfortunately, I don't have a card that will change the turnip value at this point, so I'm kind of stuck with what I got. But the nice thing about playing with like three characters is you can build some strategy around like, okay, I have this one character who has the ability to raise the value of turnips significantly, so I'm going to hold that card, and then I'm going to try to get cards through, you know, for all these other characters that allow them to move a certain number of spaces. And then once I'm ready, I'm going to send everybody into the center of the map where there's a lot of like, you know, options of where you can go and then raise the turnip value and then try to get people as much money as possible so they can grind their amiibo up. And I think that was actually pretty entertaining. And, you know, a lot of this time I'm sitting here, I'm not touching anything. When you play the game by yourself, there's no AI component, or when you play the game by yourself with multiple players, there's no AI characters walking around or anything like that. So you are very much in control of the entire game. So it is very much you. I basically just like line my 3 amiibos up and then just like tap them to the screen, you know, as their turns go through. And you got to sit there and make some decisions and things like that. So I'm not going to extend the time because I think we're pretty good on what I've showed you so far. It would have been nice to, oh, dang it, I clicked give us more time. We'll play a little bit longer and I'll just bump us out of this. So I don't really want to do another 13 minutes, but just know that once we hit the 10-minute mark, I'll bump us out. Just know that at the end of this, you would basically have all your happy points and you would basically touch your amiibo to the screen and they would build up EXP and then unlock their outfits. So whatever number of happy points you got would be applied to your amiibo. And the kind of the nice thing about, you know, playing this game by yourself but with multiple amiibos is you can level a bunch of amiibos at once that way. Yeah, let's see. I can't remember if there's a fishing tournament. Is it this week or next week? I forget. I think I'm second in turn, so I'll have to wait for 2 more characters. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like there's just like a lot of missed opportunity with this game in terms of, you know, the character customization. I feel like more variety between each month would have been nice. It's oh, sorry, punched my mic. It's very much the same thing all the time. And, you know, you get that one special event a month, and that's cool. Depending on the month, that special event can be more involved, and some of them, they can be very, very straightforward. Like the March one, it's basically just roll a dice, land a spot, and get what you get. Where the, like the Thanksgiving one's a bit more strategic because you have 2 days to gather food supplies, and so everybody wants to try to gather enough ingredients to make a Thanksgiving meal. And if you don't grab the right ingredients, you don't get a happy point bonus at the end of the game, which is important because, like, even though everybody is getting a happy point bonus, that happy point bonus gets to get applied to your amiibos. So even, you know, in the case of like Mario Party or something like that, sometimes you'll end up where everybody gets like 10 coins or something like that, and, you know, the value of which is kind of questionable because, you know, essentially the playing field hasn't changed at all. Everybody's just up 10 extra coins, where in this case those coins are actually being applied to your amiibo basically. I guess admittedly in Mario Party you do have like a, at least in Mario Party 1, you would collect coins and stars, which could then be used to buy stuff from a store and things like that. these guys are getting cards, but I'm not getting anything. So he has the what's it called card there. Okay. I'm just not getting a lot of luck this game, so roll this dice. As far as I understand, that little +1 happy point that happens every time you roll only happens if you have an amiibo, which admittedly, gives you an advantage. So, like, if somebody's playing as a villager, they don't get that happy point as far as I understand. So, it's kind of annoying, I guess, that, like, if you're trying to play this game competitively with somebody and they didn't have an amiibo, they're immediately at a disadvantage. Okay. Let's see if I luck out. Yeah, now I've got a 4 card, but, you know, we'll use that 4 card just so I can show you. I mean, you already know what it does, but we'll use it just to feel good. And then we'll back out of this. How much? Oh, I didn't look. 88. I think the turnip market has crashed this week, so they actually have the card that lets you choose the number of spaces you move. I just noticed. So, and they also got the fortune. So when they rolled a 6, they got happy points and money because they had a good fortune for rolling 6s this week. As everybody else other than me has 3, because I'm a poor boy who can't seem to make money this week, or can't seem to get decent cards or anything. So. There are some other special events. There's Twice Dice Day, which I think came up at some point during this. Basically just means on that turn, everybody gets to roll 2 dice at once. There's Opposite Day, which basically means if you land on a space, the opposite effect of that space happens. So if you land on a negative space, it's positive. Positive space is negative. And then this is like an extra visit from Joan who can get... You have... Joan's kind of scary because you have the opportunity to get more turnips this turn. She'll give you like an extra 10 turnips or something if you land on one of her spaces. You have the opportunity to have to pay her money because the turnip fields got messed up. Or she can tell you, I sold you bad turnips, and she will rot your entire turnip inventory, which is terrifying. I had her burn thousands of turnips for me before, and it was awful because, you know, this is an hour and 30-minute game. And, you know, it feels real bad when on the 31st of the month, she comes over and you're like, I'm ready. I'm like standing in front of like 5 spaces that will triple the value of all these turnips. And she's like, your turnips all rotted. I'm sorry. Are all rotted. I can speak. We're going to use this. So interestingly enough, you don't actually have to use the amiibo when you do this. So if you press A on it, it just works. So, bam, bam, boom. And we did it. Anyways. So let's go ahead and back out of here real quick. I didn't actually see if there's like a way to just pause out of the game, but it's too late. We're already in the Wii U menu. Just stuck falling. Oh. Yeah, aesthetically this game is cute. I think it uses the 3DS models. I could be wrong about that, but it looks very you know, 3DS games look great when running at a higher resolution, and I would not be surprised if this game just reused those models, because these models don't look amazing, but, you know, they look clean, and I think in the way that, you know, Animal Crossing, they just kind of look clean. Bring out Tom Nook. Tom Nook was my main, my MC, and I can show you real quick, but, like, so you have 4, like, different outfits. So I have 6 outfits, so I can switch between them. So some of them I don't like so much. Most of the Tom Nooks I don't. I like his base outfit. I like that outfit a little bit. His original outfit's all right, and then I like that one the most. So, anyways, so I'm gonna actually adjust my brightness level here on my screen because it's gonna make it easier to show you what the gamepad looks like real quick. So let me try not to break everything. Come on. Oh, it's hiding from me. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to reduce my exposure is actually what I'm going to do, because it'll actually make it a little easier for you to see this screen here. So on this screen, I'm going to point out a very specific thing for you. When you're on the sport game screen, hit this button here. Do it. It takes you to this screen here, which basically lets you build things in the environment. So I've built out everything, and so the happy points I have allow me to build new things. So So if you click build a house, you're going to invite people to your town. So this is where the amiibo cards come into play here. So unfortunately, you know, all these characters I have are already in my town. So unless I buy new amiibo cards, these characters won't appear. Which I'm not sure if these characters add new events or anything, or if they just are there like as, you know, a extra character in the background for you to look at least in terms of the main game. They have other purposes as well. We're also going to look at the build feature here. So unfortunately, you can't really see this on the main screen. And also it's touchscreen operated, so I'm going to try to do the best I can. But you can see we have like a series of let me see if I can adjust this focus for you guys real quick too. Let me switch over to a different setup here. Sorry, I'm not at a... All right. I'm also set this to 720p, so this isn't as clean as it could be. But yeah, so basically, let me see if I can do that. So you have a bunch of different little things here you can do and build. But there are more of these things than there are slots in your town. So let me back out of here, and then well, actually, I'm gonna select build a feature here real quick. So let me come back up here. Nope. There we go. So if I select one of these, oh no. So if I select one of these, I can basically go around and see everything I've built here. So I've got like Rossetti's little area here. I've got, you know, the coffee shop, things like that. And I can destroy one of these and replace it with another one. But I like my town, and I'm not going to show it to you. I mean, there's really nothing to it, really. So, so basically, as you build stuff, it increases the number of paths in your map. So I'd encourage you to do that as fast as you can in this game. Don't spend your happy points. Like the happy points for outfits aren't spending them. It's just a like EXP that's being accrued. The thing I would encourage you not to spend your happy points on initially early on are these mini games. Mostly because they're not amazing, and I think they're kind of just a weird side attraction thing. So let's take a look at some of these, and I'm gonna try to show you as best I can how these are played. But you know, at the end of the day, it's actually kind of frantic on how you play some of these, and I'm not gonna be able to hold this gamepad in front of you while I use the things. So all these mini games are, or most of them at least, I think all of them, are based around amiibo cards. So for most of these games, you have to queue up the number of amiibo cards you're going to use. So in our case, we're going to use, oops, I think I backed out on accident. So we got Rosie, got Stitches, got Goldie. Okay. And you can see on those cards, there's like some stats and stuff that matter for different different games in here. So some of these are more just like, these cards are more just about gameplay, like actually interacting with the game. So in this case, I'll have to pause this because it's actually time-based. I'm going to use these cards here to switch between, like I'm going to basically scan these cards, and every time I scan the card relevant to the direction that's being pointed, so like let's say this guy is how I move forward, I have to scan him over and over and over again in front of the gamepad in order to and I'm gonna actually readjust some of this stuff here real quick, because I think I'm not gonna show you the gamepad for a while, so let's get back to normal. I'm gonna have to basically scan these over and over again to make a movement. So I'm gonna scan Stitches first, it's gonna move me forward. I'm gonna scan Rosie, which is gonna move me left. And then I'm gonna scan Stitches again, scan Stitches again. Goldie's gonna move me right. I don't want to collect the rotted one. Oops, I got the wrong character. I don't want to collect the rotted one because that will actually reset the entire map. And so that little guy is down there is chasing me down the map, as you can see. I'm going to try to do a little quick work here to rotate. I think he might go faster as you collect more and more acorns. But yeah. So as far as I can tell, which amiibo cards you're using in this one doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you have amiibo cards on there and that you scan the one that goes in the relevant direction of which you're going. I ate the rotted one, and you have to start all over. I think you get an idea of how that works. So let's go back to the plaza.
And so that's like 3 levels long, and I think you're scored based on like time and things like that. So it's you know, most of these games will give you some happy points for beating them, and there's like a scoreboard or something like that. So some of these games, like Mystery Camp, require 6 cards. This game only comes with 3. So unless you have purchased an extra card pack, or your friend has one, you can't do anything about it, as far as I can tell, at least. Let's see. Let me try to find something where the characters matter more. So Desert Island Escape is a little long, but we'll give it a shot. We'll just start with the beginner one. I've only played the first map on this one. I think this Desert Island Escape minigame actually became somewhat popular, and they actually added it to the 3DS version of the New Leaf as like a bonus minigame at some point. But I haven't spent a lot of time on this one. I think people generally like it though, and it seems all right. Like this is probably the best minigame out of all of them. Essentially, you scan your 3 cards, and each of these characters have different skills. So in the case of Rosie, I think Rosie can fish, so you can see she's got a little fishing rod on there. So I'm gonna try to move her up to catch some fish. We found a stick. The whole point of this mode is to basically build a raft by collecting materials, and we have 7 days to do it. We also have to collect health or food, so we don't die and things like that. So then we're just gonna do a little rotation thing. So we get 5 fish, which is gonna be added to our total amount of meals. On the left, you can see there's little apples that fill in, and once you fill in an apple, you get, or all 6 apples, you get another day's worth of food. So, and then you can see it says how many spaces there are to move. So I got another stick. The sticks, some of the smaller items can be used to make tools, things like the sticks and string. The only thing we really need to actually escape the mountain or the island is those 3 logs and one of the parchment in the bottom left-hand corner. So we're gonna have Rosie go. Rosie can sniff out materials, so she can see there's a rock there. So I went ahead and went to that space. Normally they have to land on the space to know where those items are. And Stitches can sniff out honey because she's a bear. So we're gonna see if we can find some honey. Doesn't look like we found any. Also, I fell in a pitfall, so rest in peace. I don't really know what happens if you hit this correctly, but I always get stuck in the pit because there's a high chance you won't get out. And so the ultimate goal is to basically collect materials, and then we stick a tent, which is basically your starting point for the next day. So this is where we're going to start the next day. So we're going to make a camp here, and we can build tools using the items we have. So on the gamepad itself, we have a list of tools we can make. So I'm going to make a slingshot. It allows us to chase away enemies. Sorry, I held that up in front of the camera for a second. Yay, we did it. And then we can make another tool. Shovel, if I can. Nope, fishing rod. Stitches already has a fishing rod by default, but the other characters do not. So if you have another character who doesn't have a fishing rod, as far as I understand, you need to make a fishing rod. And then you eat your day worth of meal right there, and you go on to the next day. So it's an interesting game. Whoops. If you're gonna play any of the mini games, I think that one's probably the most interesting from what I've seen just from that first mission. But again, I don't find any of these mini games particularly fun. Fruit Path is kind of a competitive game. A lot of these games are very multiplayer focused. So there's also like this card battler where you can play cards to fight each other, but because I don't have 6 cards, I can't do that. So yeah, those are the mini games. I don't think there's any of these other mini games I really want to show you. They're just kind of not amazing. But I mean, if you're an Animal Crossing fan, I think it's like neat. So there's like this whack-a-mole game where you basically scan the card to whack the mole. I don't like that one. I'm finding for some reason I'm not liking video game whack-a-mole. I tried Namco Museum Remix had it, and then also We Play Motion had it, and this game has it, and I still don't like it very much. Desert Island Escape, which we just looked at. There's the card battler. Fruit Path is basically like you scan the card and it makes you move a number of spaces, and there's actually I think a lot of strategy to this one. It's a competitive game though, so I really didn't know what to do. But basically I think the ultimate goal is to end up with a certain number of fruit by the end. And you know, as you pick up fruit you gain weight, and then you can fall in pitfalls and stuff. So I'm not really sure. It's like basically you scan one of these cards that have like these dice values on them, and that determines how many spaces you move. So I'm guessing the point is to have the other player follow the pitfalls and lose their thing. Quiz show. This is very Animal Crossing focused questions. So if you have a lot of friends that are like, you know, super into Animal Crossing, you'll be able to figure stuff out. As somebody who is not super into Animal Crossing, although I've played a lot of them, it can be difficult to know the answer to some of these questions. Some of them are pretty straightforward though. Like if you like look at shoes and they're yellow and one of them has yellow in the name, and it's like, which shoes are these? And you select the one that says yellow. Good chance that's the right one. We'll play Balloon Island real quick because this is maybe the last one that I really think is interesting. We're gonna be a me girl. I renamed her to be a me girl. Yeah. So we'll end with this. Basically, we just select a card, which then throws the amiibo character on the screen and has them land on balloons that pop and gives a score. And if you land on a certain spot on the map here, it basically and I'm holding the card against the screen, which I assume is why he's kind of just floating there. But it basically increases your score if you land on like the 3 times part in the middle. But we only got 1 time. Anyways, that's it for this quick play. Thanks for coming. I wouldn't really recommend this game, but you know, for the $2 new I paid for it with amiibos and everything, it's kind of okay. Like, I wouldn't say this game's... It's not bad. There's just not a lot to it. And I think, you know, in the sense of, if you look at it in the sense of like, hey, you're getting 2 amiibos, and you know, amiibos are like $13. So in some ways, you could view that as like a $26 value. And then also, oh no, Goldie. And then also you could look at you know, the fact that it comes with 3 amiibo cards, which I think the amiibo card packs are were like $5 to $10, stuff like that. But you know, it's just, you know, it's not great. There's no real reason to ever play this, I feel like. I think Rowan made a good point that, hey, if you have very young kids, this might be really, you know, this might be cool. Or if you're just like a really big Animal Crossing fan, but there's just not a lot to it. And yeah, I will say this. I spent a lot of time playing this game with it in the background and leveling up Tom Nook, you know, while I'm watching something else or something was generally satisfying. And I've capped out Tom Nook, and he is done. He is complete. I have made the ultimate Tom Nook. I find that generally satisfying. And you know, at full retail price, I probably would be disappointed with this game. But for the cost you can find it at least today at this end of 2019, where I got it for $2 literally for a new copy at a GameStop. You know, it could be worse. I think there are good intentions with this game, but maybe it just didn't quite come together. And you know, it's kind of boring, but it's also minimal. And if you find that valuable, I think you could find some enjoyment in this game if you just want something on in the background that doesn't require a lot of thought. Only real thought you need is the turnip prices and things like that. So that's it. Thanks for coming. OneControlReport.com is the website. In terms of what I have up related to some Wii U stuff, I did a Lost Reavers quick play, but unfortunately Lost Reavers is no longer available to be played. Yeah. Also, I'm a big fan of Rodea the Sky Soldier on the Wii U. So I have a Rodea the Sky Soldier Wii U review. I'll go and pop that up on screen here. So yeah, thanks for coming. I hope you have a great week. Sorry, it's a weird ending, but I hope you have a great week. Bye.